Morning. Back in Genesis. Okay. Do you remember where we was at last week?
Genesis 4.
Yeah. It was in the 4th chapter. And it relates to the fact of the genealogy of Cain. If you look at past that, and I want you to forget that, or I'll go on. I don't want you to forget that, but the lineage of Cain, they got all these begats and bear and all this and everything. But you go down to the 25th verse of the 4th chapter, and it said, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God said, she hath appointed me other seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began man to call upon the name of the Lord. The reason I said this was because now we're going to get into the, well, before we do that, Cain killed Abel. Therefore, when his heritage, his rights, everything he had was taken away from him and was destroyed. His protection, except whenever he called upon God and God put the seal on him and said for nobody to wreak vengeance against Cain. But the lineage of Cain here was right down the line. And then whenever God gives Seth, doesn't mean that he give Seth to Adam after all this lineage and everything. But God's just showing us the lineage of Cain. Then it's showing us that Seth has replaced Abel. I hope I get it all linked together here. But as we go on down then, he goes, this is the book of the generations in the 5th chapter of the generations of Adam in the day that God created man in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them and blessed them and called their names Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. So now we don't have Cain and Abel. Now we got Cain and Seth. And there's all these begots and bare and lived this many years and that many years. I just wrote down a few things here which I thought was interesting in that lineage. As far as this is, Adam, he died when he's 930 years old. And when Adam died, Lamech, which is Noah's son, was 46 years old whenever he died. So Lamech is Methuselah's son. Methuselah was 400 and let me see how much it said. 246 years Methuselah was when Adam died. So you imagine, Adam was created by God and the first man, and then Methuselah had 256 years there that he could talk with Adam. And all the things that transpired, down through the time. Noah was the 10th generation. He was the son of Lamech. So you got Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah, which is the flood, and that's where we stop on this lineage here, is the flood. Methuselah lived to the year of the flood. And you think about, well, why did he die on the year of the flood? Methuselah was righteous. Methuselah was of God. So he was a righteous man, so he could not perish like that. God protected him, so he took him on, and that before the flood came. So we can then get into that lineage and into that stuff. So the reason I said that is because we get on down into the 6th chapter. This is the one that blows everybody's minds, in this aspect. He said, this 6th chapter is where I want to go. But the 4th chapter, remember, had the lineage of Cain. The 5th chapter had the lineage of Seth. It's showing us the separation between the lineage of Cain and the lineage of Seth. It's showing the separation of who did Seth take place with? Abel, which God had favor with. God has got favor with Seth. So he replaced Abel with Seth and with his lineage, therefore became his people. So in the 6th chapter it said, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they choose. Now, commentaries and people comes with this stuff. This is God's sons. God's sons are supposed to come out of the sky, out of the heavens, come down and take wives of humans. That's not what that's meaning. The sons of God is the lineage of Seth, is what it is. That's the righteous lineage. The lineage of Cain is of men. God does not want any mixture of mixed marriages between the Jew and the Gentile, and prior to that, in this aspect, he did not want his people, his children, mixing with sin, with corruption and stuff. But anyhow, I said that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them of which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years old. Later on down through the Bible, it puts the days as 70 years. But if you looked at the lineage that you had, as it went down to Noah, it got shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, except for Methuselah.
In other words, he didn't want the children of Seth mixing with the children of Cain.
Right. There was a curse on the children of Cain. They were the cursed. They were the ones that done the wicked. It's just like us now. He doesn't want us unevenly yoked. Contrary to what people believe and everything. As Virgil used to always say, you stand close to a mud puddle long enough, and you're going to get mud splashed on it. And that's the same thing with us, if we mingle with the world too much, if we stay with the world too much, eventually it's going to splash on us and stuff. Well, God, he didn't want that. The sons of God, to my understanding, everybody has their own understanding, my understanding is the sons of God is the children of Seth.
So, just I'm a little confused on one thing here. So Methuselah was in the lineage of Seth?
He was in the lineage of Seth. He was Noah's grandfather.
Okay, then why, because you said chapter 4 was the lineage of Cain.
Huh?
You said chapter 4 was the lineage of Cain, right? Okay. Then why is Methuselah and Lamech in the lineage of Cain?
Well, there's another, that's different ones. That's not the same as Methuselah and Lamech.
Okay.
And if you see, I think that Methuselah in there is Methuselah. And if I remember right, looking at it, MESTHU H-E-U-L or something like that.
No,
So-
that is, no, it's spelled the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they had, some of them had the same names back and forth in this. But the aspects of it, anybody got any questions on that? Or any ideas on that?
In the comments below, it says it's the sons of God refers to the godly line of Seth, which you said. And it said that they think about the angels, they talk about the angels, but in this case it's not, because angels doesn't marry or give in marriage,
Yeah.
is what the bottom says.
I was gonna say that, there's a doctrine they believe that the angels come down and mix with man. There's no marrying nor giving in marriage with the angels, so that ain't gonna be.
It says it neither male nor
The
female.
angels created an angel, and you're an angel, and that's it, where mankind go and multiply. The 16th verse there, the 5th chapter, sons and daughters, with Jared, and Methuselah, the lineage, and then on over there, well, that's how Cain was able to find a wife, because this is hundreds and hundreds of years, and then, Oz, is that the name of the city where Cain found a wife? O-Z, I think so.
Is it not?
Not, okay. But anyways, that explains that. And the theory of the angels mixing, and they think that's where you got your giants. Angels don't mix, they're not married nor given in marriage, so that line of doctrine, you have to look at it as being false.
Right. Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying this is the giants. It don't say anything other than, read what it says. It said, there were giants in the earth in those days. And after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters, after that, the giants was before they came, came together and stuff. So what was the giants? What was the truth in there? We got an awful lot of dinosaur bones and things, don't we, running around there. They may have been giant dinosaurs, that may have been what they're talking about. It don't say there were giant men in there or anything. And it also says that there were giants in the earth in those days, and after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children of them, the same became mighty men, and were of old, and men of renown. It doesn't say anything where they were giants then, or anything. It's just that they were noted.
Okay. Well, here a while back, we had, I was reading something, anyways, a guy over 8 foot tall died, supposedly one of the biggest people in stature that we've had.
Now, the Nephilites, they were giants. And the history that I read on and everything is of the scholars, is they relate to the fact that Anak was descendant of the Nephilites. Totally impossible. I mean, that's who Winnipeg or whatever that is, dictionary or encyclopedia or whatever, and the commentaries that I read, they said that Anak was the descendant of the Nephilites. That's what, ain't no possible way that they could be the descendants of the Nephilites. Because the flood come and the only one that was there was Noah and his 3 sons. Unless everybody didn't die in the flood like the Bible says.
Who's that?
Anak is the giant, is the father of Goliath and all the other giants. Arba is Anak's father. That's the first one that I could find in the Bible, was Arba, which was the father of Anak, which in the lineage of the Nephilites were giants. They were the giant people. When Joshua went across and the 12 went across into land of Canaan, and they come back and they said they were giants in the land, and we were like grasshoppers. Well, that was the Nephilites. That was the giants. In other words, the heritage of Anak. And this is what I'm saying. They don't understand what they're doing. But if Anak and Arba and Goliath and all those giants, if they were descendants of the Nephilites, which was before the flood, then they would have had to been somebody that did not die in the flood other than Noah and his 3 sons. So Noah and his 3 sons are the only ones that died there. So the giants, and they're claiming that those giants, Goliath, Arba, and Anak, and those are descendants of when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. If that is right, like I said, then everybody did not perish in the flood, like the Bible says. So that can't be right.
Yeah. Amen.
Unless one of the giants got within the line of Seth. Unless one of the giants came in, was one of the daughters of men and everything like that, and got into the line of Seth, and they just skipped generations until it got to.
Yeah.
That'd be the only way.
But see, the point in question, so therefore, to me, that voids the aspect of saying the sons of God was some spiritual being, whether angel or whether actual son of God or whatever. It disavows that fact because they're saying that's where these giants came from. But I can't see that in that aspect.
No, I can't.
So you understand what I'm saying? So
why does it say, because I don't see from what I just read here and everything like that, nothing comes up except for in the 4th verse right there where it says there were giants in the earth in those days. It doesn't mention anything before or after or anything. So why was it even put in there? I mean, is there like an explanation or anything like that? Or
It could be like they're on the longevity. They lived 700, 800, 900 years. Well, they also had giants, you know. And you take these pseudo wrestlers, and they're big people. They're not just your ordinary sidewalk person. There's exceptions. Must have been exceptions to everything.
sometimes the Bible throws a little something in there like that, you're not able to explain. What the giants is, I can't explain. There may have been giant people back in that time. Scholars says the Nephilites were before the flood, which were giants, but I don't go along with their theories. But what I believe what God put this down here for was put the lineage of Canaan and then the lineage of Seth is to put the good and the bad, and the good and the bad should not mix. That's the thing. But they did mix. And this is where it is. This is where he said, my spirit will not always dwell with man. They did mix.
So let me see if I'm getting this right then. And I agree with what you're saying, but I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Cain killed Abel, and then Seth and his son and his sons were messing with some of Cain's descendants, That's why he told them not to do that, not to mix with them. And that's why he, more or less shortened man's days because they wasn't obeying not to mix with Cain's descendants down to 120 years. And because, and maybe this is a deformity of that, because some of Seth's descendants were messing with Cain's, that's why the giants came in. Or are you just saying the giants are just animals?
Well, I'm saying I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
It's just-
Well, you know, Goliath was a big man and all that stuff, but, yeah. But more or less, God cursed man down to 120 years because they wasn't doing what he said, because they were mixing with Cain's descendants.
Right.
And keeping the lineage clean.
Right, right. They mixed with sin. Seth was the righteous seed.
I just want to make sure I was clear on that point.
Right. And they were considered God's sons. We're considered God's children through Christ,
Amen.
through Jesus, joint heirs to the throne. We're considered,
God's sons.
yeah, God's sons, God's children. Well, we're not literally God's sons, but we are in the spiritual form sense. That's the same thing with Seth. Seth was not literally God's son, or anything, but they was considered, his lineage was considered God's sons because of the righteousness.
All right. Does it say anywhere that Adam and Eve had any daughters? And so okay.
It says it right here. It says the son in these chapters here, it says they have many daughters,
Okay.
sons and daughters.
Because I was just trying to figure out how Cain and Seth actually had children if there was no women there.
Well,
No, and they intertwine, in other words, sons and daughters.
So,
You know, and stuff, they have to multiply the earth and stuff. But in 900 years, you know, you can have an awful lot of kids. You know?
well, the whole thing, the only reason why I'm asking that is because God didn't want Cain's descendants and Seth's descendants to mix. So, but I'm trying to figure out, was the daughters of Adam, were they, you know, just, hey, we're splitting you down the middle, here's the good ones, here's the bad ones? You guys go with the Cain's descendants and you guys go with the Seth's descendants or something? You're saying that that Cain's descendants was the bad seeds, technically, and stuff like that. Well, that was Cain and stuff like that. So his wife, whoever he married and stuff, did she just get grafted into the evil, into the bad side?
Cain's wife?
Yeah.
I would imagine so. She went with him.
The Bible says that Cain went into the land of Nod,
Right.
and there he knew his wife. It doesn't say he got his wife there. It says he knew his wife, and then became the descendants. In other words, they consummated whatever. And like I said, they married brothers and sisters to multiply because there was no other races around. Some people has a theory that God created more people after he created Cain and Abel. Well, that's just a thought because the Bible doesn't say that they did. So the only assumption you can have is that brothers and sisters married. Now Adam had, I don't know, Adam may have had 15 daughters before he ever had Cain. I don't know. Because they didn't classify women in that aspect in that time. It was through the man, is what it was run through.
Yeah, that's not. I'm not saying that it wasn't, you know, the sibling brothers and sisters. I was just wondering about the whole idea that Cain's wife and stuff like that was because you said that he went there and he knew her and stuff. Well, was she inherently bad, or because she was the only one there that to get the lineage of Cain?
Well, you don't know how many years have transpired in that time. he could, Seth could have already been born, had a half dozen kids or more or whatever, and Cain could have had a lot more daughters. We don't know how many kids. The lineage,
Yes, he's talking about Cain's wife.
yeah, what I'm saying, the lineage of Cain was cursed.
Yeah.
Now, Cain could have married Adam's daughter. So Cain could have done that in that aspect. But Adam was of sin. So the daughters kicked into that. So Cain married her. She became part of him, and the lineage went that way. It's the only thing I can say to that.
Yeah, I just trying to figure it out, because it does, it does say in the Bible, it says something like, blessed that you're not, pretty much my own words, be happy you're not one of the ones that's going to be, that the plan is to be the bad guy, like Pharaoh, Judas, and stuff like that. But trying to figure out why, because if it's the daughter, whether it's the daughter of Adam, whether it's whatever, whether it's a daughter of even Seth or something, who is Cain's wife, was she evil? And that's the reason why she went with him, because she went with him, that made her evil.
I don't know what to ask for. As far as that isn't, we'll go on down through here. The giants was in the earth, fourth verse, in those days, and after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, and men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. There must have been very few righteous people left in the earth, if you think about it. Because you've got the lineage of Seth, and down through all those hundreds of years, you've got sons and daughters being born and all this. But undoubtedly that mixing between Cain and between Seth has corrupted into that aspect. And the Lord said, well, in the 6th verse it says, and it repented the Lord that he had made man of the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. In other words, he was, as they say, he was sorry that he ever made man. Well, how could you be sorry that you ever made man when you made man and you know what was going to happen? You ever thought about that?
Well, I'm sure when he saw it happening, he knew it was going to happen. When it's actually happening, that's, you get what I'm trying to say? When it's actually happening right there at that moment.
Yeah. It's just like one of us, whenever we have an opinion of something and we see, well, you take the Trump supporter and you take a Bernie Sanders supporter, and the Trump supporter sees this thing ought to be this way and this, and the Bernie supporter sees an exact opposite, and you think, how can they not see that? Well, that's the way with God. I believe that he was so sad, just like Jesus, whenever he raised Lazarus up and everything, and he wept. He looked down and he wept. He wept. He didn't weep for Lazarus. He knew he was going to raise him up. He knew he wasn't done to it, but he wept because of the disbelief of the hearts of the people that was there. And I think that's what Danny said right there, is with God. It repented him. How did it repent him? He's going to wipe him out. That's how. In other words, he's going to fix it. He's going to repent. When we repent, we change, don't we? We turn directions and stuff. Well, and it made him sad. It grieved him in his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. He's always righteous and always a way out. If you notice in the scriptures, God always made a way out. And he'll always, the symbolic thoughts of this is in every problem, every trouble, everything that we confront, everything that's in front of us, no matter how hopeless it looks, God has always got a way out. And he said that in the scriptures when he said that in every temptation a way has been made. He's made an escape. And this is the same thing here in reading. He's going to destroy man, but there's a way out from destroying man. And Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Imagine how many, I'd say by that time, forget, it's up in the millions, but I forget how many people they estimated at they just estimated it accordingly to people. But it is up in the millions of people that was on this earth, and God found grace in one person, in Noah. Just one person. Did he find one person was the salvation of the earth? One person was righteous enough to be the intermediator, we want to call this, for man being destroyed and for man surviving. Kind of reminds you of Jesus, doesn't it? One in the symbolism. So we can symbolize this, as much as we want, but it said Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. He said, now these are the generations of Noah. And you can go down through there if you want to go on to it. The 11th verse said, the earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Kind of reminds you, or it does me, kind of reminds me of what I see out here in this day and age. Everywhere you look, violence. Men's heart. You take like this, there's a little thing on Facebook there. It shows this is a football game, and this is some kind of a rally, and you couldn't count the people if you tried to in it. And then it said, this is the church, and it's like this, just a few people in the church. That's exactly how it is in this world today. No matter how many people